Hello, web design students. So we are back with JT again in Unit 3. So in order to proceed with this assignment, you will have to have completed all of your work in Unit 1. That is, you should have your picture, your bio. I don't know why I have two headings for my bio. Tracks and shows. It looks like I've got double headings there to fix. So you need to have this finished, including this badly formatted table, in order to move into the CSS portion of this lesson. So be sure that your website is up to date before you move on. So now if we scroll down, you can see our client wants us to style this website. Our cascading style sheets, or CSS, that's where that comes in. So you have some pictures of what we're aiming for. So a nice bold heading, the bio in a changed font, bolded headings, a nicely formatted table, and I don't know why the sample tracks don't show having a link, but we're going to have a link, and then an updated formatted contact form as well with a larger submit message button. So our job is to get from the before to the after. And again, there are not a lot of directions here, so I'm going to help you out. It's expecting that you go back into your Unit 2 activities. So the first thing we're asked to do is go back and add ID tags to each of our main elements. These IDs will work as selectors when we add our CSS. So this video is going to just show you how you need to adapt your HTML code so that it's able to access your CSS styling. So I would really suggest that as you're doing this lesson, you go back and review Lesson 3, Rules, Selectors, and Specificity. Review the different formats. So here we have the CSS code, and then here is where they're going over ID selectors and class selectors. I don't think we'll be using pseudo class selectors. So our ID class selectors are explained here. So we are going to be inserting our ID tag within our heading 1, and we're giving it the ID site title. That way in our CSS, we can style our site title with a particular font size or color or type. So that's what we're going to do next. So I'm actually going to take and copy over this ID tag of site title. I'm going to copy that over, and we're going to put that, make sure I get that in the right spot, within the H1 tag, the heading 1 tag. So let's paste that in there, and I'm going to just double check that I've got that correct. I'm going to add a little spacing there. There we go. So I haven't added any style to it, but now I'm adding the ID. I'm going to go ahead and do that to the other areas that are requested as well. So we need to add that ID tag into images, bio, and tracks. So each of our main elements. So we're going to identify our main elements. These are typically going to be in our sections. And it looks like I've already added that ID into my producer photo, but I think I did that incorrectly. So I'm going to fix that. But we're going to add our ID into our bio tag. So I'm going to do space, ID, and it adds that, notice it added that equal and it added the quotation marks for me. So I can just call it bio title, and now that's correct. I got to go back up and check that image tag because that is not done correctly. Let's see, we want to go into our tracks. So I'm going to click in there, give a space, give an ID tag. And we will go, let's see, let's kind of copy. We're going to call that tracks title. And notice I'm putting a hyphen there. I'm just keeping the same naming conventions, keeping that similar throughout. Then we want to do our upcoming shows. So we're going to go in the H2 space ID space, and then we'll do shows hyphen title. And then I think that might be it, although you should also have a form attached. And I don't have my form in this particular version. I have lots of versions of this saved. The next thing we're going to do is we've added our ID tags. So the next thing we're going to do is, it says make sure you use at least one class selector too. So we're going to take a look back in lesson 3 and notice it talks about class attributes. So when we add a class attribute, well, let's backtrack. When we add a ID attribute, it can be accessed in CSS using the hashtag, okay? When we use a class selector, it can be accessed using a dot. So again, here we have the HTML and here we have the CSS. We are styling the color, in this case, of anything with the class biographical info. So we're going to go ahead and add some class tags or class selectors, within our HTML. So keep in mind, we have not done anything to the CSS yet. Okay, so I've added my class attribute for my image, and I'm actually going to I think I'm going to remove this image. Well, we'll leave this ID tag right here. We'll leave that there. And I noticed I did not have a section beginner here. So now I have my section. I'm calling this class content block. So this image is a content block. And I'm going to continue adding those content blocks to each section. So I'm going to scroll down and let's take a look. I do not have the section label before my bio title. Again, I have many versions of this document, so I'm going to go ahead and add the section tag along with the class content block. So the same content block as up above. And then I do have the end section. Then let's check. Now I have my sample tracks, and we're going to make that a content block as well. So I'm going to add that class attribute within and add that section beginner. You probably already have your section tags in from your first lesson. Just note that I'm working in a different version. I saved different versions for each unit. So now we have our, I gotta name this tracks, not shows. Okay. Then we can scroll down. We have our end section. And now again, let's press enter here and I'm going to add the beginning section, the class content block goes within this section. And then I'm coming down to my table. So let's see if we need anything else. I think I already did my tracks. Again, I'm missing my form from here. I need to add this back in. So I believe, let's see, we'll go back to the assignment. I have multiple tabs open and I suggest you do the same thing. Okay, so let's see, we did a class and now it's saying also keep your CSS organized, blah, blah, blah. We're gonna do the CSS after we have added those attributes into our HTML. They need to be in the HTML to carefully access the CSS files. So scanning through, I think the centering piece is the last thing we're going to need to add to our HTML. We're going to add one last class attribute. We're going to call it wrapper. And we are going to later in the CSS use that class to give it the properties of margin and width. So we're going to set that margin and set that width to give a little more styling. So I'm actually going to go right here and copy this. And it says place it right after the opening body tag and close it before the closing body tag. So we need to go in and we need to find that opening body tag. There it is right here. It's in line 7 for me. It might not be in line 7 for you. And then we have to close it out after the closing body tag. So that should be way down here. And I think it said right before the closing body tag. Let's see if we can get there. Right before the closing body tag. So I'm going to actually, okay, why won't it let me? Let's hide this. It's not letting me click in here. There we go. We're going to have to arrow down. Sorry about that. For whatever reason. Okay, so now we have a space to add that. And again, it's not letting me get my arrow down there. There we go. This is what the closing tag is going to look like. So there we go. I think that's it in the HTML. So I'm going to close out this video. The next one, we're going to be hopping over to the CSS tag, which I've got a few things in there already, but we'll do it together. Thanks for watching. I know this is tough stuff, but hopefully the videos help.